we're on YouTube. Let me just close that. Good afternoon, traders. Welcome to our viewers on YouTube as well. We'll start in a couple seconds. Okay, let's start. Let's go. Everybody's on. Let's start. So I'm on silver, actually. I think all of you should be in a silver trade by now, because we've been looking at silver for quite a while. If you guys have questions, please keep your questions to the end, and I'll leave some time for answering them. So you can repost your questions at the end of the webinar. Let's go. So we're now in this silver, and we broke the low. Remember, we said we're not expecting it to break the low, because if it breaks the low, there's two ways we look at the whole structure. But now that we've broken the low, right, there is always a chance for them to come and retest the low. And this becomes a more complicated, complex pattern. It's also a chance that this becomes the end of the entire down structure, and this is going up. Both patterns right now are very, very possible. We're not going to go to the details of the patterns, why that is possible, but because it breaks the low, both patterns are very possible. So for those of you who are in the trade, like we are in the trade from the low here and from this area here, from this low and from this low, if you're in the trade from that, you're doing very well. If you're not in the trade, then you'll probably want to wait for it to make a correction in the 4 hour before you take the next trade up. If it just keeps going up, might be your bad luck. You will have to wait, stay out of it, because if you get in this in a 1 hour flag, at any point you can go into correction and you'll probably take a loss where you shouldn't take a loss. So 4 hour correction anywhere in here will be a good reason to buy it, and then we will see whether this is going to be a continuation to the upside or whether we're going to retest the low and then go. But somewhere from here, it is going to start an impulse to the upside, because the daily structure is supporting that upside possibility, right? I think we've shown this like a million times, and this is probably the easiest trade will happen in your lifetime. If you miss this trade, you will regret it, because this is the easiest trade you could probably get. Remember, we're making profit already on this little piece. That is not the trade we are trading. We're trading it for it to come and break this top. This is where you want to make profit. So even if it comes and retests that low, no big deal. We'll get out for break even, or we'll get out for small profit, like we've been doing in this piece here. We've got in and out of that trade a number of times, and we'll buy again from here to the upside. Now, the same thing. I'm not expecting them to break that low, because we're looking for a regular pattern. It doesn't mean they can't come back here, break this low, and then take off. That move is going to happen. There's a 0.99% chance that move is going to happen. Right, regardless of whether they break the low. The only thing is, if they break the low, they're telling us a certain amount of information that if they don't break the low. Either way, I think this is a correction, and we will come back to retest that low sometime in the future. Not in the very far future, in the near future, because I don't think this is a monthly trend to the upside. I think this is only a daily trend to the upside to retest this top. So this is, we're in that consolidation right now. We still don't know whether this is the start of the move up or whether we're in a consolidation to retest the low again and then go. Either way, it's okay. If you're trading the way we trade using patterns, that does not bother you. Right? That's the least of your problem. Right? Because you're in the trade and you're in profit. And all of you should be. If you're not, anybody here not in a silver trade, if you're not in a silver trade, you probably weren't listening to me for the last couple of months. And you probably should be in profit already. Right? So let's see how this behaves. It takes a while, but once this starts taking off, you would not regret you took the trade from the bottom. Let's go. Dollar index. Dollar index. We're in a big kind of a sideways move still. We're coming down. Remember, we're watching these two tops to tell us what they're going to give us. Is it going to be a big correction in the middle here and then go back up? Or is it going to be the top they made and they're going down, right? I still think it's more of a big correction, because this move up seems very impulsive, and that means we might be just making a big correction coming back to this level. So there's a good chance we would see more upside in the majors and the dollar losing value way down to the bottom here, right? When it comes to this level, then we would reassess how this move went and what we think it is doing. Only then we'll have a good idea whether it's a running flat, expanding flat, regular flat, or it's the end of the move and they're coming down and there's a bigger flat in it. You can't confirm either of those as yet. We don't have either information for that. So go back to the 1 hour. We would look for sell setups. And if you get any sell setups, you'll take it. We are still in the uptrend. So even though you're looking for sell setups, doesn't mean that they can't go one more up, right? Like I said this last week, it doesn't mean that it's coming down here. We can't make a flag and go one more up. This could continue to go up for a while. You can even make one more up. It still has to do that, right? All we are waiting for is the end of this move. And we don't know where that end moves. It doesn't, it's inconclusive. You can never tell where it's going to end. And nobody knows that. It doesn't matter who's telling you what. Nobody knows where that is going to end. It doesn't matter what you're counting. It doesn't matter how much waves you count. It doesn't matter what you're using, what support and resistance you think you see there, if you see any, because I don't see any. You don't know where a single wave will end, right? Because by all theories, even if you're using the Elliott wave theories, they can be extended. And worse yet, if you're not using that, which means if you're using the way we count and the way we look at structure, which is, I think, is much more advantageous, and you tend to have a better dealing when you have a higher probability of looking at things the way we look at. This could still go up one more. So let's see. If it starts to go down, you will get this trade. At this point, you'll put that at break even, and you'll be watching for this. So if you took that trade and you put it to break even, comes back, take you out to take that trade up. As a matter of fact, that was one we saw up. That one wasn't a difficult one. Same here. I think we will see whether it's going to go up. That would not be a difficult trade. Euro going up. We got those two. It's coming down. So we've got a pattern here now. Let me put it in the 4 hours so you can see it. So we've got a 1, 2, 3. So the question here now is, how do we look at this entire piece? Do we look at this as a pattern ending the whole structure at this level to go back up, which is possible? You can look at all of this as a 1, 2, 3 to go back up there. That is a very possible thing. Or you can still be in the correction, which means this piece is still part of the correction. We just happen to come back here and still go down. But for now, we're expecting some more up. Let's see whether that is going to make some more up there, how high that goes, and what structure is going to build. Right? For a lot of you who are following me for a while, I think you're already understanding how we look at wave theory, right? How this whole thing works. Because a lot of traders, when they're new and they come to the first time, they get a little confused. Like, okay, we don't know. What should I buy you or should I sell you? The analysis is not giving you a buy or a sell, because traders tend to look for that. Okay, he says it's going to go up, so I'll just go buy right now. No, you have to look for the setup, because traders keep writing me, should I buy this or should I sell this, even after the webinar? You shouldn't do either if you're asking me. And that's a rule in my group. If you're asking me if you should take that trade, the answer is always no. Ask my traders, they will tell you. The answer is always no. Any of my trader write me and say, should I buy this now? The answer is always no. Why? You're not ready for the trade. The mere fact that you ask me if you should take the trade means you're not an independent trader. You're not ready to trade. Go back, do some more work, stick with the group, learn, and then when you start learning, you figure out whether you should take the trade or not. We have very strict rules for that, how and when you should take the trade. So when you learn the strategies and the rules, you will be able to take it without asking anybody. So if this makes a correction here, look for your trade. If we turn to go down more, which means we're going to be extending this wave downwards, we'll look for sell setups from here. And both of those possibilities are possible. Both of them can happen because of the way you are in the daily chart. You only have one wave up and one wave down. That's all. So you have to know whether you're going to make, which pattern they're going to make. There have to be more waves. Even within this one, you have a complete pattern. What we don't know is whether this leg down is completed. That means this could go down forever. This could go down all the way down here and keep going and keep going. And anybody who tells you that they know when it's going to end probably don't have a clear view of what they've been doing. If they tell you we can see when the ending is coming, that's a different story. But where it's going to end, they don't know. We look for specific things in them to tell you, well, okay, this looks like the end, and we will wait for confirmation for the end. And if that gives us the confirmation, we take the trade. If there isn't the confirmation then, we just keep trading it to the downside, as long as you have the setups to trade. Right? It could turn from here, come back all the way back to the top, come back in this area, and then just take off. You'll have something like this. It's not going to be a single straight line. I'm just drawing it to give you an idea. So anyone who thinks they have a very clear idea of this pattern without learning it will struggle. You have to learn. You have to understand how it works. Right? I noticed some guys were chatting in the last video, and one was saying, "Oh, all you have to do is count 1, 2, 3, and or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5." Well, keep counting. If it was that easy, you count 1, 2, 3, or count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and trade. None of you would be in this webinar here today. That's just plain right. None of you would be here because you wouldn't be wasting your time trying to listen to me explaining something that you can do so easily. Count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is not that simple. And people who try to simplify it to that level, they're simplifying it out of ignorance. I can keep telling you this every week, and still we get those people and we get those messages, and you still see people trying to say the same thing. It is complex, but it's doable, which means you can do it if you learn to read it the right way. So let's go see if we have a trade setup. We don't have a trade setup, but if you're going to pull back, look for a trade setup. Right? Look for a buy setup. Pound drop, and now we have two options. Do we keep this as the contracting flat? That whole piece there is a contracting flat. Remember last week I said two things we look for. Is it a contracting flat or they're going to come up? My personal inclination was that they'll probably go up from here. I think it was from this one that they'll go up and finish the top, then come. And instead of that, they made a correction. If they made a correction and you saw that, if you were trading and you saw the correction, I think by now all of you saw that correction. You're looking for a sell. Right, this one wasn't that difficult to find the sell setup or look for the sell setup. And then if you saw that drop with an entry order in here, you took some profit and then you get out of it. Whether you took it from there or from here, it doesn't matter. Now the same thing here. If it's a contracting flat, we will probably get one more down here. But if they're making a more complex B wave now, we're looking at a more complex B wave that might or might not break the low. There's still a chance for them to come here and then go back down. This whole piece is just a correction. And the reason you see all those lines and everything was because I was warning my traders not to get crazy over it. I think even in my group, some people sometimes get excited over the news, although they're not supposed to be, right? Oh my God, it's dropping. Look, some people are resigning in the hole. The pound is going. I said, guys, just relax and look at the chart. Where it's falling, do you see anything falling anywhere? It has tagged these low before. It didn't even tag the low. Nothing is falling. I had to go in the room and calm everybody down, like stop getting anxious and anxiety, calm down your anxiety. Nothing is happening. It doesn't matter who resigned or anything. Forget about that. Focus on the chart. Nothing is happening. It's right in the consolidation. It did not move out of the consolidation. And that means you don't have to panic and worry. If you're jumping into the charts when it's moving, you're likely going to mess your whole trading career up. Because if you keep doing that, it will not work good for you. I think this looks mostly like there's a possibility they're going to make one more down here. So you may get a very nice trade setup, at least at this level. Once it hits that level, you want to take profit. Don't keep it. Move the stops or take profit because at some point they may go back up. We're in this big, big, big sideways correction. And that big sideways correction here. And we can't confirm. If they break this low, doesn't mean it's going to take off. They might break the low and come back. Remember, silver broke the low and go back. Come back here. If they give us a three-wave correction like that, that'd be perfect. We do have one. It's a contracting flat. If they go from there, we'll look at it as a contracting flat. We're already looking at it as a possible contracting flat, but we can't confirm that. And if you get a correction here and you sell and you get another correction, you sell, you get another. Well, by the time they make a deeper correction, we'll confirm that they're going down. And by then you will have enough confirmation that they're just continuing to go down. But they can stay in this sideways move here for a good time before they go. So don't make assumptions that because somebody resigns somewhere, it's going to fall. That's not how this thing works. Right? I always said any fall that is going to happen was prepared for way long before it happens. I've already shown that to many people who are telling me that the news is what drives the market. And I said, okay, if you look at this, all of this, you knew this was going to go down. because it doesn't matter what the news was at that time. It mattered what they were doing here for these years. And that's just what it did. That was a forecast we made, right? And you can make those forecasts because it doesn't matter what the news is going to be. If you don't get that as that, you're probably never going to be a good trader. It doesn't matter what the news is going to be. The preparation for that fall was already there. And whether it was good news or bad news, they will use the moment to drop it. Well, they will say very good news, but sentiment is bad, so it's fall. So if it was good news, well, it's falling. If it's bad news, well, it's falling in the bad news. And if it's good news, but that, well, sentiment falls. Somebody's going to be fall, right? Just keep looking. They have, before they move it in a big move like that, they have to be prepared to do that. You have to see what they're doing in the charts to be able to tell you what the next move is going to happen. They're still in consolidation. So while they're still in consolidation, we are not breaking out of that consolidation. We still don't know where they're going to go. They can stay there for a very long time, longer than you can probably keep up your trading career. They can stay there for months and years. So don't make assumptions that you don't know. It's a good setup for a trade. You're getting another good setup for a trade here. Take the one trade and wait. Wait until you get confirmation that they're going to continue to go down, and then you take that trade. Aussie. Upside, I think this one was easy. All of you got it. That was an entry order there to trade. 4 hour, we broke out, so we will be looking for this moving up on the Aussie. We're looking for a sharp move, and we'll see whether it's going to make a very sharp move to about here. At this level, we'll start somewhere in there. We'll start looking for whether they're going to go down or they're going to go up, because we're looking for this one to match that for a running flat. Right, if we get that. If it doesn't work out, then we'll see what other patterns we see inside. But right now, I think that is the possible pattern. We can't confirm that pattern is it, but with the way it's going, I think that is the pattern we will end up with. What pattern we will eventually end up with, we'll see it. It's going to happen, right? You're seeing it, but you can make your forecast as to which one you think is going to happen, right? Based on what you have already. And based on what we have already, I think that's the most likely pattern in the higher time frame. Look for buy setups. You're going to get more buy setups. Same thing here in New Zealand. You can see them. It's going. New Zealand is already going for this one, which we think it's going to happen, which is this one here. And they just need to move about 50, 60 pips more, maybe 100 pips. That's like 100 pips, and that's enough. They can confirm that that pattern is already there. From then, we will wait for confirmation of direction, which means you're buying to the upside, and then you will wait for confirmation. A continuation up or more downside. One more impulse down. So right now you're getting upside. You just keep buying. If you get any flag, you buy. They're probably going to make a pullback here with a flag. Make a pullback, give you a flag or a correction, you buy. Can they reverse from that point? I think it's a little too early. I don't see the reversal. Maybe a correction could happen, but not a reversal. So I could see them correcting deeper, but not a reversal. For a correction deeper, you will wait for an impulse, a flag in a 60 minutes, and then you'll sell. If you sell that, just make sure you have the experience enough to move your stops pretty fast, because you don't want to be tagged in a sell when you're just correcting to go up, right? And a lot of traders make that mistake. As a matter of fact, I just did a one-on-one with one of my traders. I hope he's in here. You don't have to mention yourself. But the same thing, trying to get the little piece, the smaller trade in this one is what he's trying to get. And then he ends up with a break even because the trade goes up. And instead of taking this, he tends to miss this trade because he was so focused on the sell. And that happens with a lot of traders, not like one trader, but these are real life stories, right? This is a good sell setup, actually. If you think of it, this is not a bad sell setup. You just have to be careful. Because if you think from this point, the chart is reversing, that's a good sell, right? You're here. Okay, Michael, you didn't have to identify yourself. We don't want traders to know, right? So he makes a lot of those trades, not bad trades, but they turn out to be break-even. I look at it, man, you got a lot of break-even trades. I was like, where you got all those break-even trades from, right? So now we're going to get his trades to positive, right? His analysis is good, but just that he's taking the smaller ones and getting break-even, right? So now we're going to change that. That's what we do in our group all the time. We work with our traders to get them positive. I take them and look at their trades one by one. Right. So now we watch it. If you start looking at it now, those trades are good trades. You just end up missing them because of the focus on the opposite. And that's hard for any trader to do. If you're focused in one direction, changing your direction is a bit tough. Right. So watch for this correction. If you're going to take the sell, make sure you get the experience enough to put it to breaking, take the breaking, but don't miss the buy if the buy setup comes, because the buy setup is likely going to come. Yeah. We're coming down. I think I told you last week they're going to make a deeper correction, and I still think they're going to make a deeper correction. So you can look for short-term sell. This is more of a correction. I don't see that as going down long-term because we don't have structurally, we don't have a long-term move to the downside on this as yet. It might just call its way down. So we'll probably look at it when they come tag this low here. We'll see what pattern we're making in there. And I think they'll make one more up. There's likely one more up. On the daily, it's most likely they're going to go up on the daily. What we might end up with is this one going, you get sell, you get sell, you get sell, you get sell. You might even come back here, do this, and then end up going there. It might be a very slow climb, not as fast as this one. We'll probably get divergence and then the downside. I don't see them coming down from there. That possibility is not there. Remember when we were doing this, we said they have to go back up, break the top. Right? If you're following me, then you know this was they'll have to go back up. And they're going up now, right? I think the breakout of that pattern is already confirming the upside. So we will watch for these. These are short-term trades here. Short-term sells, take them, take profit off them. Don't keep it. You only keep long-term trades. You keep trades like silver. Those are long-term trades. This one is short-term. You take the profit out of it. All right, so you're getting a sell setup there also with it. CAD is about to tell us what it's going to do. So let me remind you what we were looking at from CAD. Let's say, what date was this from here? What date was that? That was in 13th of August. If you go back to the August webinar, you will hear me say something, maybe August or even this one here. That is, yeah, that's August. Yes, in the whole of August. Check those webinars. You will see, you will hear me say, we think this is a possible leading diagonal. We can't confirm it, but we think it is. And if it is a possible leading diagonal, that is always followed by a 1, 2, 3 wave correction before they go down. A leading diagonal comes like this, and then it's followed by a 1. This one is a contracting one, followed by a correction and then downside. And I can show you hundreds of those patterns in the chart. Now, they made the 1, they came down, they broke the low, and they're going up, right? So now they have to tell us whether this here is an expanding flat. If this is an expanding flat, we're expecting this to go down very sharp. So if you get sell setups here, we will take those sell setups to the downside. Now, what if we're wrong about that? Let's just go to somewhere in here, there's a bigger correction. This is a 1, 2, 3, and this is a 1, 2, 3 here, right? And that is all one big correction for upside. 1 second, guys. Let me just see if I can cool down my son there a little. You're a little upset. Give me 1 second, please. Okay, guys, sorry about that. My son is a little upset. He doesn't want to eat food. Yes. So come back to what we were doing. If we miss that pattern in here, and we think that if we miss it, then this could be a very big move to the upside. So you go back to the higher time frame to see that. You come back to the higher time frame, and if this pattern in here is not what we think it is, instead it's a correction on that piece, and we're going up, then the up move here, you can keep that for a longer term because they will break this top. So either we're coming to break this low or we're going to break that top. And you're at that point where they have to tell you that right now. It's the point where if you get a sell setup, you can put it to break even and keep it. If you get a buy setup, you can put it to break even and keep it. Let it be a break even trade. Because if it is not a break even trade, it is likely going to be a very sharp impulse either way with more corrections coming in it, but you could probably keep that for a longer term. Right? Because this is the point from where they either have to confirm the upside or confirm the downside. One of those two trades will definitely happen now. So now is the time when you want to focus on the CAD because you're either going to get the big trade up or the big trade down. I would wait for this to probably make a flag here. And if they make a flag here, put an entry order for a sell. And once they go, they drop here, put it to break even and leave it. If this decides to go back up, let it go. If you get a buy setup, you take it. If you don't get a buy setup, let it go. It will make a flag here. They'll probably break out of this structure first and make a flag there. And that would be the trade you buy and you keep. Because once they break out of this structure here, they will correct. And when they make that correction, that is the trade you will go for. that would confirm the upside. Let's wait and see which one they're going to give us. So far, they've done exactly what we wanted it to do. It made 3 waves. It made 1, it made 2, it made 3. But because they broke the low, if that low was not broken, we would have taken this as a flat for downside, and that would be a confirmed downside trade. By breaking the low, they've given us some extra information that now you don't know. Now it's not confirmed which direction you're going to go. So wait for that setup. We traded that up, and we're still trading it up. But right now we start trading it down. You can see that, right? If you're already in the downside trade, you can probably just put your stop somewhere here and leave it. Anybody, by the way, in the sell, if you're in the sell from any one of those, you can just put your stop there and leave it, right? And wait to see whether they break out. Because if they break out, they're likely going to go very fast. Once that impulse starts moving, it's going to move fast. So let's see which side it's going to go. Swiss already going down. We're looking for the downside. You got it. It made a much bigger correction here, so you probably take a while to get this. A much bigger correction. They even break out there. But you can see the correction, right? That was a smaller version of the correction. We broke the top. We're turning. And this one definitely, remember, just go back and remember what it was doing. Come down, go back, break the top, and turn. So the question is it turning right here, right now? Because remember when this was going down crazily, it had to come back. So it came back. Now it is giving you a pattern. So if this is the turn to the downside, which you still can't confirm, we still can't confirm that that is the turn to the downside because we don't have a daily or a 4-hour correction. We've got a nice one here. So any pullback here, any correction here is a sell. And you can keep this sell. You can keep that sell for a longer term because once they break out of the structure as well, once they break out of the structure, they're likely going to come back and test the low. Not this low, sorry. They're going to come back and test this low here. That is going to be a longer term trade. This is the low they need to come back and test. So if this starts to come down, that could be a very, very good trade. Big picture weekly, both sides possible, right? We're still in a consolidation. So nothing would be wrong of this coming back all the way to the bottom here and then maybe even going back up. All you're going to get here is a bigger consolidation in play. Keep your eyes on this one. It looks very much like they can go deeper. The only one I don't see looks like it can go deeper will be the yen. CAD looks like it can go. Swiss looks like it can go. For the upside, pretty much Euro, Pound, Aussie, New Zealand, they can all go up, at least some more. So the only one that is not showing us very clearly that downside direction to make it normal is the yen. So I would be watching all the yen pairs. Because if the yen goes up when Swiss and CAD is going down and Euro, Pound, Aussie going up, you really want to focus on those yen pairs. They're going to be moving very, very fast, right? And you want to trade some of those yen pairs too. So wait for this. Any correction you get here, I'll take this off. I don't want that. It will bias you, and it's not the right. That's not a good line to bias you on. So wait for any correction, 1-hour correction, 4-hour correction, and take your trades, right? Silver, we already looked at silver, so we'll see what happens when it comes there. Gold, same thing. You got it. If you got tagged in that, put it to break even. That was an entry order we had. Take this off. That was a stop. Take that out. So gold is still in the sideways, but looks upside. At least one more upside. I don't think they're going to go with this one right now because they came a little deep, but we'll see when they break this top what happens. Right? You're looking for when they break that top. Take that off. When they break the top, will tell us whether they're going to go one more down. So what is that? Too much information in this chart. I don't know why I have too much here. Okay, let me take some of these off. Yeah, when they break this top, then they'll tell us. When they break this top, they'll tell us if they're going to come back here one more or they're going to continue to go. We will see that pattern, right? Depending on how you look at this here. They can come break the low and then go, or they can just continue to go. Same thing like the silver, right? It might come back one more down and then go, or it will continue to go. So if silver comes down one more, you might want to sell gold instead of silver because gold will probably break this top and then drop. The gold drop might be a bigger trade. Way down to retest this low here, right? So if you get a downside on them after the end of this week, by the end of this week, the best one you want to sell is probably gold because the gold movement will be much more than the silver one to the downside. If they all continue to go up, the one you want to be into the upside is the silver, not the gold. Because gold upside is, as you can see, is very slow. Silver upside is taking off like a very sharp impulse. So you want to be with the silver to the upside, gold to the downside if it breaks the top and come down. So short-term trade upside, long-term trade when it breaks the top, wait to see what happens. So if you're in the buy and there's a buy setup here, I don't know how many of you took this trade. And if you saw that, you took that trade. I think even last week in the webinar, that one was already there for you to take. Wait for any corrections, buy again. It's going to come back to retest the top first. So you get a correction, you buy. Euros, you're just going down slowly. You start to watch this at the bottom here now because you're getting those slow movements where they're going to turn for the upside. Very slow movements, right? You see they're starting to drop. So you got to be careful with those with divergence. Unless they break out of the structure, there's a good chance we're going to get one more retest of the top. So I don't think it's the best one to trade right now. You're getting very short-term trades. You can see that. Euro New Zealand, this one is going down. This one you should have been looking for sales all the time. You can still look for sales here. I still think you can sell it. Basically, what you can do is if you get into this sell, watch it if it drops through the bottom here. If it drops through this structure, keep it. If they stop here and start to bounce, take it off and look for buy setups back to the top, right? We're not going to discuss what they're doing there, but both sides possible, dropping through that bottom and going back up. Because I know some people tend to look at this and say that's a structure that will go back up. That's not true. If they're making a running flat in there, they drop through that bottom and it doesn't turn, right? You have to be careful of what structure you see in the middle there. This one is actually going down pretty nice. Expecting a correction. The only reason I think they could turn here is because we were expecting them to make a correction here. But if that is the correction as a running flat, they're going to drop through this bottom, then they're going to make a deep correction. So you can watch for this here to make that and then drop to the downside. There's a sell setup there actually, a very active sell setup. Short-term trade, it pulls back a little here, you get into that trade, they will consolidate, you see they consolidate here. But you should expect this to consolidate and then drop. You take this trade. When it comes here, you move your stop. If they start to consolidate here, you get out of the trade. If they drop, you stay in the trade. That's how I would trade it, basically. I shouldn't be telling you what to do, right? Because I don't give trade setups here. I just tell you how these are my views on how I would do it, right? So stay out of the EuroCAD. Let's not even look at it. It's doing what we want it to do, but the way it's doing it, you can't trade it. We don't even trade, so just stay out of it. Same here. It's going sideways. See? It's kind of going sideways. Look like they're going to break out, but it's not ready for the breakout yet. It might be a little more complicated. This two sharp waves are good for a flat, but this one is going very slow. So even if it keeps doing, they will do this. Once it breaks that top, we'll look for the downside. But if you can get buy setups in there, take it. It's going to go too slow to trade. And it's going to be a lot of pullback. Look at the way this went up. If that starts to go up like that, you probably stay out of it. Euro yen. Same here, you're going to get a sell setup, take that out. You're going to get a sell setup here. They're just bouncing along there. You probably get one more down here. Go for the trade, right? And then we'll see what happens. That pullback didn't go anywhere. And that pullback didn't go to the top, so we'll wait to see. But once they break, we're going to go with the option of them coming back to retest this low, right? Not going back up because we're looking for this possible pattern. And let that go there and then come back. But once they break the structure there, we're looking at these sharp waves and this one as an equal. So they'll come back to this low, right? So look for sell setups here. Take that off. We'll look for the sell setup. If you get it, that will be a good trade. Here's your short-term trade. Take those off. This one was easy. We broke the top. We start to make corrections. We drop down there. You're getting sell setups here again, and you're breaking this structure. Right? So let's look back at this on the daily. What we're looking for. We made a top. We made a sharp one. They make a correction. Now they're going. So your only question is now, is this all the correction for the next impulse to the downside? And that will be an impulse that should come and break this low. Pretty much like this. See that? 1, 2, 3. So this one is the more complex B wave, but we'll not go into that. So look at this. If you get a correction here, you're looking for sales. And I think they have a correction there. So go to the 1 hour. You had a down move. You got a correction there. So you make a flat. They drop. They're making a flat. They're dropping again. You get another flag, you sell. Right? You get another flag, you sell. Every flag you get from now, you sell and you keep it. Right? You just keep the trade, especially when it starts breaking this low and going down. You probably want to keep it because it's going to go very far. Right? Now, would this be a Swiss movement to the downside? Remember, we think Swiss can go down very much. Pound might be going up, but Swiss can be dropping very much. So this might be more of a Swiss movement rather than a pound movement. So don't get carried away with the pound itself. This big movement to the downside, we saw way before anything about what the pound was going to come, right? We saw this in the weekly. Remember, this was a forecast made about 2 years ago, right? If you go back in TradingView, you'll find that forecast with this pattern here, right? And we know this would have to come and break this low. It didn't break the low the first time. Sorry, it didn't break the low the first time. So the second time around, they're going to break that low. See, they didn't break it the first time. So the second time, now this one would have to come and break the low before you start an up move, before they start an up move. And they need to come and break that low. You have a very nice flat pattern here, just like you had at the top here. You guys should go back and find that forecast there in TradingView, right? That one and this one. So you got an impulse down, you got a correction, an impulse, a correction, look for your next impulse. Each one of them has correction. This has a lot of correction inside. This one had a big correction here. You're getting a big correction here. It's about time to go, right? So you can see if it's crystal, it's easy to see, right? That's not hard. Somewhere in here, we forecast the downside. So now it's going, you got another correction. Great, that's good. When they come in, you're gonna get a lot of divergence and then we start looking for that trade up, right? Let them go break the low first. And then we will all look for that very big trade up. This is gonna be a big trade to the upside. Go back to the 4 hour. Wait for the 1 hour setups and trade, right? You can wait for that 1 hour. If you're already in the trade, just move it to break even. If you're not, wait for flags, take the trade. Pound New Zealand going down nicely. Let's see. I think we also broke out of the daily structure. Pretty much we can say yes, we broke out of it. Pretty much we can totally say we're out of that structure and we're going any correction here as well. Remember, they may not come back so fast. So you get a 1 hour flag, go for it. Right, they're already making corrections in here, so they're not going to come for a big correction like that. You get a flag here, you take the trade. Pause. This one went up a little. That's a very sharp move. I don't like it. The reason that it's going down, but that's your entry order for a sell, but it's very sharp, so you got to be careful with this, which means it might make a running flat somewhere in the middle there. This one already looked like it's going to go down too. Let's see. We're looking for one more possibility of this going up, with this being an expanding flat. So you got to watch this right in this area here. If you're going to say, I would not sell this, I'd rather sell the pound Swiss. Because there's a possibility this could stop somewhere here and go back up to retest that top. That possibility is still open until they totally give us a correction here and drop, right? So I'll be careful with this one. And the pound Swiss does not have that possibility. This one has that possibility. So be careful with it as you're selling, right? Make a flag, you take this out, move it to break even. I'll rather trade the pound Swiss, like I said, because it's a safer trade. CAD, this one is easy. You can see you're getting your sell set up. They made a fall there. They made a fall here. You're getting sell set up. Downside, pretty much it's going to go now. CAD also, you have to be careful, right? This one, when it comes here, be careful. Remember, the CAD trade was called last week. You could actually take that. When it comes here, be careful. They could still go back up in that corrective structure. It's getting complex, so we can't confirm this downside as yet. Right? Because of the complexity of it, I still think they're going to go back up here and then come down. Not necessarily breaking, they're just going sideways. Right? That's a big sideways move. CAD goes sideways sometimes for a very, very long period. Let me see if I can find one for you. Here's a good example. They go sideways for a very long time before they eventually take off. You can put this anywhere how you want, right? But basically you can look at it like this. See how long that went sideways? This could go on here for a while before it drops. So just be aware of that. These sideways move sometimes. And this might, I'm not even going to go to that one. I'm just looking at this one. So be careful here. They're going sideways, but they're going to go down. It's going to be a down move. You just have to be ready for it. So go back here, you have a sell setup. Short term, you have a sell setup. Right? Short term, you have a sell setup here. Right? Let's go. Peng Yen. Also look for sell setups. Peng Yen didn't break the top, so it might eventually give us this pattern here. They didn't. Oh, they broke the stop here, so we might eventually look for this just as a bigger pattern. Right, we might look, sorry, let me just put this here. It's still just a bigger pattern of the C. So I still think they'll tag this low. Watch them to tag the low, and then we'll see what happens when they tag the low, right? We could still look at that as a possible. This is just a three wave in the C wave of their expanding flat. You get a sell setup there, take it. I think we have a sell setup right now. You're getting a sell setup right now. Right, this might be a little more complex. Okay. This one might be a little more complex, which means they're probably going to go back up there, then come down. Right, so give that some time and then look for a sell setup there. Aussie yen bouncing along here, but they're going to go down. I think this pattern, no matter what happens, this thing is going to break down. Right, so look for a sell setup. Just wait for the sell. Even if it breaks the top, doesn't matter. You're looking for a downside. Just look for that sell setup. New Zealand yen. This one not necessary. This looks like it can go up more. Let's see. If you get a flag here, buy. This could go up more. Even if the Aussie yen goes higher, ignore the buy and it. Look for the sell side. This one you could look for the buy because this one could go much more up. Right? Remember this thing going down? We said when they do it like that, they have to go back up. Now the question is, how high will it go? Right? You take one trade at a time. We'll tell you how high it's going to go. You do it one trade at a time. Canadian is just going sideways. We're expecting this to go up, but it's not going as yet. So we'll see. We'll just wait at it. If you get any buy setups, if it comes out back, give you a buy setup. This one didn't give. We were looking for a breakout there. You didn't get a breakout. Right? They're coming down. So you can actually put the entire big one and look for a breakout now. If they break out now, you go for the buy. The buy is a good one there. Swiss yen, like I said, you want to focus on these yen trades. You really want to focus on the yen trades. If yen is not going to do what all the other majors do, which means if we think dollar is getting weak, but yen is getting weaker than the dollar, you want to focus on all the yen pairs because they're actually going to move like really, really fast. And this one is setting up for a big move up, right? So let's see. Keep your eyes on them. Let's see. Aussie, Swiss. Instead of this thing, it's going to come down. Take that off. It's going to come down for a correction. It's difficult to trade. Aussie, New Zealand, same thing here. This one is going down. So if it keeps going down, I actually want it to go down now very fast so that we can start trading it to the upside. Right? Finally, we might be finishing off this one here. We wanted it to go test the top again, but it didn't. So we just assume we got that pattern not so correct. I still don't see an option for another pattern there. So we're keeping an eye on this. All right, we're looking for running flat. Didn't play out. We got that wrong. So we still didn't figure out where we got it wrong. I can't clearly identify the pattern as it stands on the lower time frame. And the bigger time frame, the pattern is clear. This is what we expected to do. That lower time frame pattern is still bothering me a little, but we'll come back. We'll look at it. Let's see how it behaves. What happened? Not really. We looked at it. We'll figure it out. Sometimes they tell you 2 years after or a year after you actually see exactly what the pattern is because you need more pieces to build up, especially when you're looking at a higher time frame. We're looking for this to do something like this here. 1, 2, 3, go back up there and then come down. It didn't do that. They made a flat here and fall, and they made a correction and fall. They make a correction, they're going to go. If they come break this low, we'll still have to figure out what that piece is. Right? That is not clear to us yet. So it takes you some time, a while to see it, and then you see those patterns repeat themselves, and then you figure out what they are. Rarely you find those weird patterns. Most of them, they're patterns we know already. Right? When you find those weird ones, you just wait. There are 2 of them waiting for. We're waiting for this one and we're waiting for the Pang Yen. Because we still haven't figured out what the hell that pattern is at the top. The up move and the Pang Yen, not the down move. The down move is very clear. The up move, no idea. Right? And that's okay. If it's not a known pattern to you, doesn't mean that it's not working. It's just that you don't know what that pattern is here. Wait to see if you see it repeat itself. That's how we found the AB squeeze. We wait until it repeats itself a number of times, and then we figure out, okay, this is a pattern. This pattern behaves this way. That's how we found the big expanding flat. This is what it does. And when it does this, it behaves this way every time. And then you start trading it that way. So you wait now. If you see a number of more patterns like these behaving exactly the same way, then you label it how you want. I mean, in terms of name, you name it however you want. You fix the labeling according to how we do it, and then you trade it. If it's the first time you're seeing it, maybe it's being in the past, but you never pay attention to it. That happens sometimes, right? So there are new patterns coming up. believe me, we've seen that in the charts already. We've identified a few of them. They're not new. They're probably there a long time. Nobody paid attention to them. Nobody was doing patterns the way we do them. Nobody, people were trying fixing the chart to get what they want it to be and not what it is. We don't do that. We try to figure out what it is. When we can't figure out, we let you know, hey, we don't know what the hell that is, right? We'll figure it out, but we don't know what is it now. Let it wait some time and then they'll tell us. That's the way you should trade. If you don't know, just leave it alone. That's all. Right? You don't try to tell the chart what it's doing. You watch what it's doing, learn it the right way, figure out what it's doing. And those that you figure out well, you trade them and make money. Those you don't figure out, you learn from them. That's the way you should. And you learn every day. Every day we learn something new. My traders keep saying that in the group. Darren, it's a good thing we stick around for 2 years here, right? We're learning new things every single day. You never stop learning as long as you're alive and your brain is functioning. Right? So let's go. Aussie CAD. And that's the advantage of having a group like ours. Aussie CAD, some more upside, but like I said, there's a lot of break-even trade. If you get a good flag, take the trade, take profit, right? Because you see, they pull back too fast and then they still go, but they make a lot of pullback, make a lot of running flats. You can see all of these, right? They pull back very deep. So when you're in a trade that is a nice setup, you have to take profit once it starts to pull back. Don't keep it for long. New Zealand CAD, upside. And this one is going very well. All New Zealand trades are going very well. You'll see all the patterns. Watch this one here at this level. There are a number of options of how we're looking at this. This could totally go if you look at it on one option. The second option is they'll stop somewhere here, go down, test the low, and then come back. This is the big sideways move, right? So depends on how you look at it. It's either over, right? Depends on how you look at the patterns. It's either over or it has one more downside before it's over. You can either look at this as the running flat, one more there and they go, or you can look at this as the running flat. It's over and this is going up. Right? Those both two options, because of the way the patterns behave and the known patterns we know, you can find two patterns in the same structure, two absolutely different patterns. And you can see we did them on all time frame, right? This is, by the way, one of my trader made the suggestion in this pattern. This was me looking at it. I was looking at it differently. And I said, yeah, probably yes, you have a point. Let's see whether that is what you're looking at makes sense. So this one, if you get a setup for a buy, go for it. And let's see how far it goes. You can take all the buys because we don't know if it's going to go break the top. Move the stops, take profit. New Zealand Swiss, going up also. Look for buy setup. There's a line there, which means something there we should be paying attention to. Yeah, I see one. It's a big sideways move. Pay attention to it as you come closer to that line. That's all. Right. So let's see. I think when the 4 hour is upside and the 1 hour is going up slowly, but it's going up. I don't see the turning point as it. I don't see them turning as it. They'll go very slow. We're getting some divergence. So if anything, you might just get a correction. At Swiss. This is going sideways. We needed to go up first. We need this here to go up a little here first and then come down. Because I don't think this is all the correction. And if that is all the correction, that's not an impulse. So you can stay out of this until it breaks the top. We wanted to go break that top first and then come down. Copper. That would be a pattern we know. Put it that way. Copper going up, so yes, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Watch copper. That's a buy setup. Take that out now. Look for buy setups. I think it's going to go more upside. How far up they can go? They can go quite a while. They might even come to break this top. Right? You can even go to break that up. So watch for buy setups on copper, 4 hour. If you trade copper, you can start looking for buy setups. Natural gas. This was a deeper than we expected pullback, right? So if we were trading this, you got taken out and it's somewhere in here on the 1 hour. That's where you got on that consolidation, you got taken out. The correction is pretty deep. It's still going up, which means we're going to expect a bigger correction at this level. Those are all buys there, closed at this level. So go to the 4 hour. Let's go to the daily so you can see that. So the daily, we're in this structure. I want to go to the bigger picture, right? I don't have the whole chart, but we're looking at this structure. I'm not sure whether this was the first impulse down or that's one of a bigger picture, whether that was the last impulse down or something, but If they make a bigger correction here for a while, you go again for the buy. If they're going to reverse this chart, right? NG1 has the bigger chart, right? Okay, let me see if I got it in NG1 there. That is the futures. It's not, might not be, this one here, let's see, might not be the same chart, but let's see if you got it. Okay, yeah, you have more here. So let's make an assumption that this is doing what, what this did before. I'm not sure whether they'll have to look at it. But if you look at it, they make one come down, they make one come down. We're in this one here also going up like this. So there's a good chance that this will come back down here, then retest the low, because all of this might be just a big sideways move. Go up some more here, come back, retest the low, and then go. So what you're going to look for here is what happens here. They need to consolidate. If they stay in that consolidation there for a while, sorry, not out of it. If they stay in a little consolidation, you'll get one more impulse up. Watch it when it breaks this top, because once they break that top, they can be looking downwards, right? If it is going to go down from here, they're going to drop from that point. You go to the daily and wait for it to make a flag right here. Like, don't break that top, make a correction right in here, and then take this up. Either way, it could be a bigger trade, right? So right now, it's either a big correction you'll get, which means you don't have a trade there for a while. You're going to get some short-term trades in the correction, but you don't have the bigger trade to go with, right? Let's go back to where we were. Natural gas, US oil dropped a little more. So let's see, they actually break through the structure, but that doesn't mean anything as yet, right? We're not looking for a big break through the structure. So it could still stop right here and go back up. We still need to wait some more for this. If this is going to go down, if let's say this is the end of the structure, I still think there's a possibility for that to go back up, retest the top, and then come. Right? We still think that is possible. Right? If it is not going to do that, let's say it's always whether you look at the pattern like this, or you look and this is this correction, or whether you look at this is the correction and that's the end of it, right? If that is the case, watch this here. You want a correction there, and if we get any correction here, you're going long-term on short. You can short it for long-term. If they make a correction like this, you want a bigger correction, and they start to drop, that's a long-term trade. It means it's going to go down much more long-term, because breaking that structure, we will retest this low. Wait for the confirmation. If they confirm a sideways here, and they need to go sideways like this. If they confirm that, we'll test this low. If they go back up very sharp and you get buy setups to retest that top, then we would look for them to come down here. So very likely now we would wait to see which part they're doing. Come back here, it looks more of a sideways right now, but not the big sideways we're looking for. That's a short buy. It looks sideways, it might be a short drop. I would like to see them go up much more, consolidate in here much more, which means you're not going to get much trade. Up and down, they're going to go. If they consolidate there, that'd be perfect. If you get this sell, it's short term, take the trade. If they drop here, take the profit, drop, take the profit, until you get that bigger consolidation. Then you confirm the downside long term. UK oil, same thing. My traders are selling this like hell, so you can keep doing the same thing. But as soon as they make that big sideways, we'll confirm downside. One more daily impulse downside. S&P 500, some more upside definitely. I think you can see this. We expect it to come back and maybe even retest the top. This could be the end of the correction. And they might go to break this top, trend to the upside for a while. Right? So you can start looking for buy setups. You're getting buy setups already because you broke out of this structure. You made a flag and you're going up. Next, pretty much we're looking for upside, especially with this consolidation. We're expecting them to go test the top too. Let's see, Nifty also upside. It's kind of going sideways. You see they make a flat there. You're looking for upside. Bitcoin, told you that is going to drop, right? We told you that Bitcoin is going to drop. Well, I was looking at a webinar. One guy keep making webinar. It somehow appears on my Facebook page or whatever. And when Bitcoin was here, he said some 200 MA, the 200 moving average is holding it. So it's not going to go. It's going to go big time up now. And I was like, hey, that moving average can't hold it, right? Literally. I'm just telling myself that, that's just a line. It's not going to hold anything, right? Because they're preparing to drop it. The reason we know this was going to drop is because we looked at the structure, right? And we said, if you look at the structure, what they're doing, they made an impulse, they made this, right? and they start to do this. If they didn't give you that and up and they drop like this, then they give you this. But you expect them to do drop. They go up, come back, give you a sideways drop, go there. That's a definite drop. You can actually see this whole big correction in there. Drop, go drop. So what now? Go back up. They're going to go back up a little, but not very fast. So there's more drop to come. So you'll probably get something like this. And then you'll get that. And I think by then all of you are going to tell me what that pattern is. Right? And then guess what you're going to have? You're going to have another one up. Now, will it be the end of the structure here? I think not. I don't think so. Right? It looks like it's stayed in consolidation for years. No, if you start figuring out all the patterns in there, you get it, and you know when it's going to make a drop and when it's going to make that sharp move. You see, that's the whole thing of what we do, right? You figure all of them out, and then you know what it's going to do. So guess what it's going to do here? It's going to keep you in this area here for a while until everybody gets tired, and then you're going to hear that Bitcoin is no longer, Bitcoin is going to collapse, and the whole world is going to end because Bitcoin is going to go down. Nobody wants Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the worst thing that ever happened to us in the world, right? All the news is going to tell you about how big the collapse of Bitcoin and all of that. So what you're going to do? Sell your Bitcoin to them for probably 2,000, maybe 1,000, because you bought it for 16,000. You were so smart. You bought them for 18,000 and think it's going to 100,000. They will make you tired. They can keep it here longer than you can survive. And when they get back everything that they wanted and they know how much is out there, they absolutely know how much every one of you own. So when they get enough that they want back, then they will do this. And you will jump into the top here again because you think you're smarter than them. You have no idea about structure. You jump into the top there and then they drop it back again in you, right? If that's not new, that is as old as the world is. Right? That is happening every time to every single smart trader in the world. They're telling you what they're going to do, what they're doing. Just remember, go back to my webinar when it's the top day. And here's the best thing. Don't only just go to my webinar when it was 18,000 to 20,000. Read the comments in those webinars. You will see how people were saying this guy has no idea about Bitcoin. What the hell is he talking about? Bitcoin is going to 50,000, 100,000. Right? Good thing. I was telling people, guys, be careful. You want to get rid of your Bitcoin. You don't want to be the last. One of the phrases I use is, you don't want to be the last one out. Well, you might end up being the last one out if you didn't listen. Right? You don't want to be the last one out. They can keep it here for a long, 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 long time. Very long time. And then when you're tired of it, they go up. And the way I'm seeing the pattern, it could be there for a very long time, right? So be careful. There's a lot of patterns that needs to be completed. Let's go. XRP. This should still be your safest bet because you can double your account. You can double your thing every time. If you buy here and it goes to there, that's okay. That's about 300% or 400 or 500%, right? So what do we expect this to do? We expect this to go up a little more, but we think it's going to come back down. This might not be the big move up. They're going to stay here for a while. They're probably going to do this, come back, retest the low, and then do. So you may get a chance to buy back. Well, not zero. You may get a chance to buy back at low again. They'll just go sideways for a while. See? So you got a sell setup here. You might get a buy setup now. Right? So you got 1, 2, 3. Watch this. If this is going to go back up there, wait for a flag. Let it go there and then start to look for sells because this here is going to end very soon. That doesn't look like the big move. If in very rare case, if they test that top, you're lucky, they'll come back down. So anywhere within here and here, you have to start moving your stops. Very strong. See? Just be careful with that. Let me see what else I can show you guys before I go. Let's take some. I see a lot of questions, so I'll just run through the questions very fast and then I'll go with that. Then there was a very question, good evening. Why you sequence chart too much for analysis? How you view prediction? How you do price action? Then clearly, and one question, if you sequence weekly chart, it showed monthly only. I have no idea what you mean by that. To be honest, I'm trying to figure out what you mean. Can you just rephrase that question for me? Just my bad. It's not your fault. You said I don't know what you mean by when I sequence the weekly chart, it's showing monthly. I don't have an idea what you mean by that. So sorry for that. That's my fault. Could you please spend a little more time on ES? That would be what? Could you please cover 15 minutes, 1 hour, 4 hours? No, we don't cover 15 minutes. I don't even advise you to trade in the 15 minutes unless you're very experienced. If you're very experienced to trade in 15 minutes, you don't need my analysis. It's that easy, right? If you can't trade in the 15 minutes, then if you need my analysis, you're not ready for 15 minutes chart. Not that you can't trade it, it's just that you're not ready to make decisions so fast. Euro pound, we did it. I'll look back at it for you if you want. Do you think it's going to go to that, then drop? That is probably in one chart that I was doing. I have no idea which one. You'll have to name the chart so I can go. Expanding flat iron, natural gas, we did that one already. Thanks, thank you. So many sharp moves. It looks like it will stay because that is for the Bitcoin. Yeah, that's what. Do you use FIB strategy? No, I don't use FIB as a strategy to trade, and I don't advise you to use the strategy to trade. FIB is nothing more than percentage. It's not magical as people want you to believe. They want you to believe that it's magical because then they can sell you the crap. See, that's the whole point. They want you to believe that there's a magical thing in the FIB so they can sell it to you, to teach you how to use it. I have a lessons on FIB free on my YouTube channel. Go look at it. There's nothing magical about FIBs. If you guys want, I can even do a special webinar on FIBs. Absolutely nothing magical. And I will disprove anything anybody showed you. Bring it and I'll disprove it. I'll show you how it doesn't work. Remember the golden or the brilliant or the platinum 618 they like to talk about? Well, there's nothing magical about it. Actually, there isn't. I've tested FIBs so much. I mean, the guy who taught me used to call me the FIB master. That's how much I've tested that FIB. There's only one thing we absolutely found very, very nice about the FIB. That is you can always counter target to 270. There's a 90% chance. It doesn't matter whether it's a correction or whether it's an impulse. The next impulse after a correction hits that 270 like 90% of the time. That's one you can hit. Sometimes it goes much farther, but hitting the 270 gets hit 90% of the time. That's the only thing we found very, very, very useful in the FIB. Everything else is just they want, the people who do patterns, like who do these animal patterns, they use those FIBs measurement for it. And if you look at one guy in TradingView, he tested and he said the variations you can get on one of those patterns is like he was finding 30 something different variations, and most of them are winning only 10-15% of the time, which doesn't make sense. By itself, it doesn't make sense, right? I think one guy in TradingView was doing those tests and it really doesn't make sense, but that's up to traders who want to do that, right? I can't force people. People come and say, why you criticize support and resistance is very old. And I always said, yes, people thought the earth was flat, and that's an old thought. Why don't we still think the earth is flat? Because we've learned that it is not, right? We've learned that the support and resistance doesn't work. And then people say, well, don't criticize other people because you go on a rant. Well, I'm trying to educate some of you, that's all. If you're educated enough and you don't need the stuff I do, just don't watch my videos. It's that easy. I'm trying to help people who don't know. Educate those who need the education. If you think you have that already, don't watch it. It's that easy, right? The whole point is to help those who need the education. And there's only one thing that gives you that very, very high accuracy, and that is the wave analysis. You've seen it, right? All of you have seen it and tested, right? You said the market moves in 1 to 3, but what happens when you have an impulse up followed by an impulse down? It happens a lot. That is a reversal point. That's what happens when you have an impulse up and an impulse down. The market is reversing. That's not 1, 2, 3. So let me just help you with that very fast. So if the market makes 1, 2, 3, and it's reversing, it's going to do 1, 2, 3. Guess what technical traders like to call that? Not wave traders, technical traders. See what they call it? So these are two sharp waves, but those two sharp waves are actually reversal, right? You saw it, head and shoulders. Like I said, I don't see all these fancy things. I see what I see there is an impulse, a correction, and an impulse, and correction, and an impulse. That's all I see. You can call it head and shoulders if you want. That's okay. But I'm looking at the market in terms of how you should look at the market, and don't fantasize too much. Right? You see impulses, you see corrections, and you see impulses. That's all. That is what the market does every single time. Your ability to read that is what is important. Most traders don't have that ability, and that's what we teach them to do, how to read it correctly, how to understand it correctly, how to read the ones that are complicated, the ones that are complex, and then we guide you through it all the time. Starting Monday, tomorrow, we're having a new course. A lot of traders signed up. Those of you who haven't signed up, if you still want to join, You can join a bit late. You just have to work with the recordings for now, but you'll make it in time for the practice session, which starts next week. That's tri-golf, tree head. Call it, yeah, it's a mountain. If you want to see a mountain, call it whatever you want. Basically, here's the deal. When people see something everybody knows, they label it a different. I told you one guy was selling the MACD to people. He just called it a different name. He took out he just colored it differently, put a few arrows on it, right? And was selling it to people $50. You pay for that, and people were like, "Yeah, hey, you see this magical tool when it does this, and you get that arrow up here. You buy when the arrow up here at the top. You sell." All he was doing is every time it crosses, he puts an arrow there. You write a little program, put an arrow there, and they sell it. And there are tons of people buying it, right? People, I mean, I say ton because I can't count how many, right? There are tons of people buying it. Literally, people are saying, "Well, I could risk $50 for that." So he got about 50,000 people to buy it, and he's pretty okay with that, right? He knows it's not going to help you, and maybe it will even make you lose money, but it's okay for him. He sold a lot of it for $50. I could have a lot of stuff like that sell, but I don't do that. I don't sell anything like that. There's a lot of people say sell a signal. We don't. I don't. There's no need for me to sell you signal. You would never be able to trade the way I trade. So even if I give you a signal, you wouldn't be able to trade it, right? You can watch me trade, but you can't trade like me, right? It's sequence, not it's squeeze. Okay, it's typing or it's squeeze, not sequence. Okay, how much chart data do you look at normally? I don't look at. It's not about the data that I look at. It's about. I see what you're talking about. I squeeze the chart too much for you to see. Why I'm squeezing the chart is so that you can see the patterns. It's not about how much data it is. It's about what the patterns are. Right, the patterns you always study your chart from top up. We study up to the yearly charts, just in case if you're interested. But we don't study them for trading purpose. We study them to learn how to read analysis correctly. So if you look at a yearly Aussie chart, my traders will tell you there was a yearly trend that made a three-wave structure. A yearly trend that made a three-wave structure. Only my traders will tell you that and show you exactly how it is. That's how we learn to study. So you learn from those, and then you learn downwards. You come down all the way to the 60 minutes where you find your trade. So it's kind of, you start from the top and you come down. You can start from anywhere. You don't trade the monthly, you don't trade the weekly, you don't trade the daily. Most of you will trade 4 hours and 60 minutes. Some of you will trade 15 minutes, basically. But do you need to analyze the daily and the weekly? Sure, you need to. Because when a weekly correction is about to end, you need to know that. Because you're starting a weekly. After that, you're starting a weekly impulse, and you may want to keep yours. You want me to show you which chart I'm talking about when the monthly correction is about to end, that you might want to start buying into it? This is not only this correction, it is this correction. See, it's not only that one, it is this one, and it's not only that one, it is this one. Right? It is this whole big thing we're looking at. But we think, first of all, we think this one would have to come here, right? And then we will see whether they do something like this. And then we would look for this one. See that? How much data do I need to do all of that? I need all the data I can get. And do you know where I got that one from? From the previous one. The previous one was like this. It went up. It came down. It started to do this. It actually came down like this, went up, started to do this, come back, do that. And then they went down for a long time sideways like this. And then they started to go back up. So that pattern I actually took from what they did previously. They spent about 20 years in that correction. How long are we in this correction? Start from the top here, you'll have an idea. We're in this correction from this. That's 2011, I think. Is that correct? That would be, yeah, 2011, somewhere there. Just about 7-8 years in that correction. So we still have about 10 years more, which means they'll go back here, come back down here for the next 10 years, and then go up. Can you trade all of that? Sure. You can trade it up, you can trade it down, and you can trade it up again. That is if you know and you understand the whole pattern. See? So guys, thank all of you for coming. Please help share this because a lot of people will need to know it. A lot of people still don't know about that. They don't know about the existence of this. One guy wrote me a very long letter. He found me only last week. And he was like, it took him a while. He was Googling and accidentally stumbled onto my chart. So it's better if you can share the webinar so people can find it. You mentioned that if you followed Elliott wave rule in terms of wave 2, on wave 2 violating the start of wave 1, and you discount the impulse due to that, you would miss lots of good impulses. Do you think the pattern have changed from what Elliott? No, I will tell you what. I'm not sure what you mean by what I discount or what I see. That part's not important too. What is important is that Elliott gave you here's what you should take from Elliott wave. And not only Elliott wave, if you read Dow theory, this is what you should take. You should take that the chart moves in waves. That's all you need to know. And then what Elliott did, what we took from Elliott wave is some of the patterns, some of the corrections like the flats. He labeled them and named them, right? The triangles. He labeled them and, well, that's not a triangle, but I think you guys got the idea, right? The triangles. He showed us what they look like and he labeled them, right? Flats, triangles. There are some patterns he named that we have never found in the chart that doesn't exist because I have never found them. He did with what he had. He was drawing those charts by his hands. Come on, he did some amazing stuff. That was great what he did. None of us probably at that time would have the patience and the time to do it, right? So what he did was amazing. He showed us how to identify and see patterns in the chart. That doesn't mean that you're not going to have different patterns. That doesn't mean that there are some patterns in computer age that Elliott didn't see or couldn't see because they didn't exist that time for him to see it, right? That doesn't mean that the patterns will not vary a little, right? It doesn't mean that the entire concept is right. The entire concept that the chart moves in waves is right. And it's right for one reason. It cannot go in a straight line. Just one logic. Nothing can go in a straight line in one direction. So, and if something is going to grow and it can go into a straight line, it will have to go up, it will have to come down, it will have to go back up, it will have to come down and go back up, right? That's logic. That's just normal. Everybody understand that, right? That's how it's going to move. If it can't go in a straight line, but it's going to grow, it means it's going to come back at some stage and then continue to go. Is that easy, right? You don't have to be a genius to understand that. Now, what you have to do now, and what Elliott helps us do, is when it's making this correction, what happens in here? He identified some very great patterns. We can see it there. We have managed to identify some more patterns that you can see in there. We also tell you what Elliott has not told you, how to know which one of that is one single wave in the pattern. And then we tell you how to count them correctly. How to count them correctly to make the patterns correctly, because most people missed what the patterns should be like in there. We show you them, we identify them for you, we train you how to identify them yourself, how to count it correctly, how to see when it's over, when it's about to over. Sometimes you're not clear that it's over, but you wait for confirmation. You may have to make 3 attempts to get it to over, right? And the yen was a good example of that. When we thought we were seeing the end coming, remember I said today, no one can tell you exactly where it's going to end, just like silver, right? But you start to see that end coming, and that means you can start to trade it. So remember when this was at the bottom here, we didn't know where this wave, and no one will know where that wave is going to end, right? Let me just go back to that point in the 4 hour. I think you need to get it, right? This piece going down here. You didn't know where this move coming down is going to end, but you start to see patterns that are showing you that it might end. And then you said, okay, buy here, buy here, buy here. We start to see that pattern that shows us that the structure is about to end. And once we see it, we start buying into it. Was that a good buy? I think it is a good buy, right? So it's the same thing. When we saw this pattern here, we know this one is about to end. Look for that buy. And then you got this buy. And the same thing we would repeat day in, day out. We start to show you how to read into these patterns correctly. See? So it's not for you to know exactly where it's ending. It's for you to understand what structure tells you it's about to end. And you start trading it in the opposite direction. The worst case in that is you're going to take a loss. The good case is that you're going to get a win. And the normal thing is you might get 1 or 2 break even before you get the win. Most times you get the win because the structures are ending when they're telling you they're about to end. You see it. See? It's that easy. It's not complicated. It's not, you don't have to be a genius. You just have to have a lot of willingness to learn it. Let's say you have to have a very, very strong work power that you want to learn this. You have to learn it. You're going to master it. And you want to be the best trader in the world. If that is you, you should take the course because then you're going to be like my traders. You will be able to do it, right? If that's not you, then we can't force you, right? If you think it's just clicking or listening to the news or clicking it when the news is coming or whatever, that's up to you. Right? We are just sharing our knowledge. I'm just sharing it, telling you what I've discovered, what I've seen, how I see patterns. It's different. That doesn't mean I discount what Elliott did, because I would never have seen it this way if I hadn't started by learning Elliott wave theory. But I don't think that's the end of it. Right? That was a long one. So you mentioned, let me see. You mentioned last week that I think that you followed Elliott Wave rules. That was the same question. So, okay, guys, thank you for coming. Sorry for keeping you so long. I will see all of you next week. Please help share the videos. There are a lot of people who haven't seen the videos. This is what I'm keen about. A lot of people haven't seen the video, or seen the videos for the first time. Right? Let them see it. Let them make the choice whether this is going to help them. Right? So please help share the videos as much as you can. There's about 1 million traders out there who still need it because they're losing money. So take care. Bye bye.